Did you know that since spring 2023, over 175,000 migrants have made their way to New York City? As of February 2024, more than $2 billion has been spent on caring for these arriving migrants. With budget cuts affecting services such as library hours, meals for senior citizens, re-entry programs for Rikers Island prisoners, and free full-day care for 3-year-olds, this influx of migrants has become a growing concern. Many native New Yorkers worry about the impact on the city, including overcrowding, strain on public resources, and changes to the city's cultural identity. Today, on Around the Globe, we'll be exploring just how severe the situation is in New York City amidst the immigration crisis. Join us as we dive into the challenges and implications of this ongoing issue. Issue number 1. New York City's sanctuary status. The increasing trend of states and cities in America becoming sanctuary jurisdictions can be viewed through two distinct lenses. On one hand, it can be seen as a progressive step towards diversifying and welcoming people from all backgrounds, providing a safe haven for those seeking a better life. On the other hand, it can also be a source of concern for native-born residents who may worry about the impact on public services, law enforcement, and overall quality of life. New York City is a prime example of a sanctuary city, having adopted its policy in 1989 under the leadership of then-Mayor Ed Koch. As a result, city officials are prohibited from sharing information about immigrants with federal authorities unless it is directly related to a criminal matter or there is explicit written consent from the individual immigrant. This means that law enforcement cannot detain or deport individuals solely based on their immigration status, and city officials will not share information about an individual's immigration status without their explicit permission. In 2024, Mayor Eric Adams called for changes to New York City's sanctuary city laws, stating that he wants migrants suspected of major crimes turned over to federal immigration officials, showcasing how the migrant crisis is causing a spike in crime. Issue number 2. Busing of migrants from other states. It is not uncommon for migrants to be bused from state to state, as overwhelming influxes of migrants have led some states to take advantage of other states' sanctuary statuses. When a particular state becomes overwhelmed by the number of migrants arriving, some governors may choose to bus these individuals to other states with more lenient immigration policies. This tactic is often employed by states with more conservative political leanings, who may see it as a way to shift the responsibility of caring for migrants to more liberal-leaning states. As a result, migrants may find themselves being transported from one state to another, often without being given the opportunity to settle or establish a new life in a particular community. In the spring of 2022, New York State hastily launched its new migrant reception system, a rapid response effort to address the growing influx of asylum seekers and migrants arriving at the state's borders. The system, which was established in partnership with local organizations and government agencies, was designed to provide a comprehensive range of services including food, shelter, and medical care to those in need. Since its launch, more than 170,000 people have passed through the system, as reported by ABC News. By 2023, the number of migrants arriving in New York City surged dramatically, rising from around 400 migrants arriving daily to around 600. Mayor Adams largely attributed this spike to Texas Governor Greg Abbott ramping up the number of charter buses with migrants he's sending to NYC and other sanctuary cities. Adams accused Abbott of using vulnerable asylum seekers as political pawns. According to the New York Post, the state of Texas has spent more than $124 million to bus migrants to New York City and other blue states since April 2022. They also noted that to deal with the influx, New York City placed migrants in shelters in the Roosevelt Hotel, Floyd Bennett Field, and a sprawling tent city on Randall's Island. Issue number 3. Increased crime. While it's difficult to determine the exact impact of the recent influx of migrants in New York City on crime rates, some have raised concerns about the potential link between the two. Despite studies by NPR and other organizations suggesting that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes due to their fear of being extradited, some local residents remain skeptical. While looking into the matter in May 2024, NPR spoke with many New Yorkers on their views around migrants and crime rates. When speaking with Carlos Chaparro, who runs a vocational school on Roosevelt Avenue in Queens, New York, he said, "Unfortunately, crime is up. My clients say that when they leave at night, they're being attacked and mugged increasingly in the last year. What's more, over 20 people along the commercial strip in New York City were interviewed by NPR, and they all had the opinion that crime has increased throughout the past year." On May 20th, 2024, Newsweek shared the results of a poll conducted by Redfield and Wilton Strategies. 974 eligible voters in New York City participated in the poll, which asked them a variety of questions about topics affecting both the city and the country as a whole, such as their opinions on the current crime rate and whether they believed that the influx of migrants was having an effect. In the study, more than 70% of respondents said that immigrants in the city are to blame for the present crime rate, with 41% citing a significant impact and 31% citing a fair amount of damage. According to the poll, 10% of respondents claimed immigration had no effect at all, while 18% claimed it was having a small impact. Issue number 4. The job market. The struggle for migrants to find work in New York City is a pressing concern, as those without employment may resort to desperate measures to survive, potentially leading to increased crime rates. Governor Kathy Hochul and New York City Mayor Eric Adams have recognized the need for support, introducing new programs such as work authorization clinics and a jobs portal to more quickly match migrants with work opportunities. However, despite these efforts, the path to legal employment is controversial and fraught with challenges. Firstly, as reported by Vox, migrants in New York City are not eligible to work right away due to asylum rules, which require migrants to wait about 6 months for a work permit. Secondly, according to the Christian Science Monitor, bureaucratic hurdles and limited knowledge of the U.S. job market make it difficult for migrants to navigate the process. Additionally, even in a tight labor market, companies are often hesitant to hire authorized foreigners due to concerns about language barriers and lack of domestic work history. As a result, many migrants are forced to rely on informal or underground economies, which can exacerbate the issue of crime and perpetuate a cycle of poverty. According to OSC NYC, in 2023, the unemployment rate was 15% for 16 to 24-year-old immigrant workers, a 5% increase from the 10% reported in 2019. In May 2024, the Financial Times stated that the limbo of work and legal status has pushed many migrants to informal jobs in the city's underground economy, and many of these workers are paid in cash or with prepaid debit cards. Issue number 5. Rising costs. As mentioned, it costs significant amounts of money to provide shelter, food, and general resources to migrants. As reported by Vox, New York City is expected to spend $12 billion on sheltering and supporting immigrants over the next 3 fiscal years if migration keeps up its present pace. However, Mayor Eric Adams has stated that the estimate is closer to $10 billion, which is still a figure he says will destroy New York City. A big expense for the city is the fact that schools are now feeling the strain of added students. According to CBS News, New York City is facing the largest teacher shortage that predates the migrant crisis. The decision to house migrants in schools across New York City has led to a surge in student enrollment, placing an unprecedented strain on the school system. The sudden influx of children has resulted in a significant increase in class sizes, putting a tremendous burden on already overworked teachers and staff. The existing teacher shortage has been exacerbated by this development, forcing schools to rely heavily on substitute teachers, which comes at a significant cost. According to the New York Post, schools are having to pay out to hire new teachers and also cover the cost of substitute teachers, a financial burden that is only adding to the already stretched resources of the school system. This will force the city to spend an additional $1.9 billion on teachers and space. In the meantime, worries for New York City residents include educators struggling to provide the necessary support and attention to their students, and the quality of education suffering as a result. As reported by Worth, outside of the strain on the school system, the City Comptroller's Office reports that New York City spends $396 a day on each immigrant who enters the shelter system. Although a thorough breakdown of expenses was not accessible to the comptroller as of December 2023, these costs include housing, medical treatment, Medicaid enrollment, immunizations, legal orientation, and more. Indirect costs include the general stress on public services, the price of reintegrating the newcomers into the workforce, and the effects on local communities. They also noted how, in order to open more than 210 shelter sites, including 18 humanitarian relief centers, the city has depended on expensive emergency contracts worth almost $5.7 billion, which has led to allegations of waste and fraud against the Adams administration. In June 2023, Bloomberg reported that Adams' office agreed to pay hotels a premium, which was sometimes 73% more than a typical nightly rate, and guarantee full occupancy. For example, the Holiday Inn in the financial district charged $190 a night over its typical rate of $110. This reportedly saw the Holiday Inn rake in a significant $10.5 million profit, while New York City footed the bill. To manage such expenses, Mayor Adams was forced to slim down services such as library hours, meals for senior citizens, re-entry programming for Rikers Island prisoners, and free full-day care for 3-year-olds. What about where illegal immigrants in the US are coming from?